All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to explore the incredible and kind of intricate dance of the natural world. It's a system where absolutely everything, from the tiniest bug to the biggest elephant, is connected in some pretty profound ways.
So, let's start with a question. This might sound like the beginning of a fable, but it's a real and growing problem in parts of India. You've got elephants wandering into farms and villages, which, as you can imagine, leads to some serious conflict with people. So, why is this happening? Well, the answer reveals this amazing chain of events.
You see, the root of the problem isn't really the elephants themselves. It's about the world changing around them. This is a story of cause and effect, and it all starts with their home.
It's pretty straightforward, really. When forests get cut down and rainfall patterns get all messed up, the places they drink from dry up, and the plants they eat become harder to find. These animals aren't just taking a stroll, they're on a desperate hunt for resources. And more, they're finding things like tasty bananas and sugarcane right where people live.
Okay, so to really wrap our heads around these connections, we need to kind of zoom out and look at the fundamental building blocks of the natural world. Let's go back to basics for a minute.
Everything, and I mean everything, starts with a habitat. The easiest way to think about it is like an organism's address. For those elephants we were just talking about, their address is the forest. For a fish, it's a pond. A habitat provides the exact conditions and resources something needs to live.
Now, every single habitat is a mix of two different kinds of things. You've got the biotic parts, that's all the living stuff, plants, animals, even the tiny microorganisms you can't see. And then you have the abiotic parts, the non-living things like water, sunlight, and soil. And the key thing to remember is that one can't exist without the other. They're totally intertwined.
And this just shows you how different habitats work. I mean, a pond and the forest, they both have living and non-living parts, right? But the mix is completely unique. A fish absolutely needs that specific abiotic factor, water, while a deer is relying on the soil and trees you'd find in a forest. Okay, now let's zoom in a little. When you see a whole school of the same kind of fish in that pond, what you're looking at is a population. It's not just one fish, but a whole group living together, breeding, and competing for the same resources. And if we pull the camera back out one more level, we get to the community. This is all the different populations that are sharing the same habitat. So back in our pond, the population of fish, the population of frogs, and the population of algae, all of them together make up one single interacting community.
Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting, because inside a community, all these organisms are linked in ways that are not always obvious. It's kind of like a detective story, and we're about to uncover some of the clues.
So check out this puzzle. This comes from a real research study. It sounds completely backward, doesn't it? I mean, what on earth could fish swimming around in the water possibly have to do with how many flowers are growing on the land nearby?
Okay, here's the incredible chain reaction. It all starts when fish show up and start munching on dragonfly larvae. With fewer larvae, you get fewer adult dragonflies flying around. And since dragonflies are huge predators of bees and butterflies, suddenly the pollinator populations just explode. With way more bees and butterflies doing their thing, more flowers get pollinated, which leads to more seeds, and boom, more flowers. Just an amazing indirect effect that all started with the fish.
You know, we often learn about this who eats whom relationship as a simple food chain, but the truth is, nature is so much more complicated than that. A food web shows that most animals are eating multiple things, which creates this tangled, super interconnected network of survival.
So when you take all these communities and all their interactions, both the living stuff and the non-living stuff, and you put them all together, you get something way bigger. You get a complete system. And this is what we mean by nature's great balancing act. And that complete system, that's what we call an ecosystem. It is the full picture. It's not just the fish and the dragonflies. It's also the water they live in and the sunlight that feeds the plants. It's every single piece working together.
Within any ecosystem, you've got this constant push and pull between different kinds of relationships that keeps everything stable. You've got competition, right, where animals are fighting for the same food or space. You've got mutualism, where everybody wins like a bee in a flower. And even parasitism, where one benefits and the other not so much. Even that plays a role in this super complex web. This is honestly one of the most beautiful principles of an ecosystem. When something dies, it doesn't just go away. You have these things called decomposers, think fungi and bacteria, that break it all down and return those vital nutrients right back to the soil for plants to use all over again. It's the ultimate recycling program.
But what happens when that natural balance gets disturbed? Human actions can pull on just a single thread and end up unraveling the entire system, a lot of times with consequences nobody saw coming.
Just take this example. For a while, there was this huge global demand for Indian bullfrogs. On the surface, it just looked like another trade commodity. But removing a massive population of one species from its home, well, that had a huge ripple effect.
The result was pretty predictable, actually. Frogs eat a ton of insects. So with the frog population totally decimated, agricultural pests just went wild. And to save their crops, farmers had to use more and more chemical pesticides, which in turn ended up damaging the soil and the water.
This actually ties into a much bigger story, the Green Revolution. The goal was fantastic, to grow more food and fight world hunger. But the methods, especially the overuse of chemicals, created these long-term problems. It just goes to show how a solution in one area can create a huge imbalance somewhere else.
So why should we care about all these connections? Fish and flowers, frogs and farms. Why does any of this really matter to us? Well, because our own survival is completely tied to the health of these ecosystems.
We tend to take this stuff for granted, but healthy ecosystems provide services that are absolutely essential for us to live. They give us the clean air we breathe and the water we drink. They create the fertile soil that grows our food. They even help protect us from things like major storms.
And that brings us to one final, really crucial question. Nature has perfected a system of balance, of purpose, where nothing is ever wasted. So as we continue to build our own world, it's worth asking, are we learning from that brilliant design, or are we working against it?